Well, it's February 15th, 2016, and today I get to celebrate my birthday. And so what better way to spend my birthday than to go out and practice some skills and shoot a video for Dirt Time Adventure. So really good opportunity for me today just to be able to enjoy some downtime. Got to spend an awesome weekend with the Mrs. Dirt Time, celebrating and just enjoying Valentine's Day. And so today I'm going to be looking at the Pathfinder system Block 8, and we're looking at navigation. This is going to be part 1. Part 2 will be knots and lashings. And this video really is a basic, simple introductory to navigation. We're not going to get into maps. We're not going to get into compass declinations. We're just going to raw, nitty-gritty, visual bearings, how to use a compass without a map, basic introductory to your compass. So I want to debunk the myth that you do not have to have a compass, and you don't need a compass. A compass is pointless if you don't have a map. And that's not true, because anytime you're traveling long distance on varying elevations and different terrains, then it's important that you have a compass. A lot of guys say, oh, you can read the trees and the sky and the moon and do all those things, but you're going to have this thing that's called lateral drift. So we have terrain, we have current, we have pack load, and then you just have your natural body's equilibrium. And so those 4 areas are primarily what is going to affect lateral drift, because your body naturally has a sway in which it goes. It's part of your equilibrium, but also the terrain. Then you have the current, whether it be wind blowing against your body, or whether it be you're taking a water current because of you're taking a watercraft. Then you have pack load. The way you carry your pack is going to affect, once again, your equilibrium. It's going to affect your balance. It's going to cause lateral drift. And so for me, I'm carrying a satchel here. It's going to constantly weigh me down on my right side, which could, depending on your body type and how you respond to it, cause you to veer to the right or to the left. And so for instance, you see my camp back here through this oak grove. If I was to blindfold myself and walk to my tarp shelter there, likelihood is I'm probably going to end off either to the right or to the left. And probably knowing me, it's going to be to the right, because the terrain naturally is sloping to my right. And so if I was to just do a visual bearing without a compass and just try to walk to that, I would be fine. But if the elevation and terrain changes to where I can no longer see my goal and my object of where I'm trying to get to, then I'm going to have lateral drift that could lead me miles away from my target area. Now once again, short distance, not a problem. Long distance, that's where you need even a compass without a map, because you can look at your terrain. You could use a mountain peak, and they got to be solid objects. Can't be the clouds, of course, but you could do a mountain peak. It could be, if you're looking into the tree line, you could see a point in the tree line. You could see a saddle in the tree line, and there's a million different variables you could use. It could be a rock formation, a valley that you can see that has water, and you can set your visual bearing on it and set your bearing on your compass to be able to reach that location. Now, if you're like me, I don't want to be the guy that's walking through the woods following my compass everywhere I go, because eventually I'm going to run into a tree. But you can do another method called leapfrogging. So once you establish your bearing on your compass, then you could set something, you're picking a far distance, set something closer that is within that same bearing direction, and then set your bearing, walk to it, put your compass away, walk to it, and then set another object within that same bearing. And so let me show you guys now, and that technique is called leapfrogging. Let me show you now how to set your bearing. So before I show you how to set a bearing, I want to quickly show you two different types of compasses that I have. The first one here is a basic, simple, clear $8 to $12 compass that you can get at Walmart or your local outdoor store. And this is great for using with maps because it's got a clear base plate, which is the solid piece that your compass rests on. And so this is your base plate. This arrow here is the direction that you're wanting to go, so that you point that in the direction your destination is. Then you also have your compass needle here in the middle. Red points to north, white would be what would be called your back bearing. And then you have here your bevel, which you can turn to get your bearing. Now, this is a great compass to get started with. Once you get a little more comfortable and you want to upgrade, you can go to a Silva or something like a Kaminga or an RK, a couple different great brands out there. And the great thing about going to something like this is you have a sight mirror that you can use to help capture your bearing. And it's also great for hygiene and for signaling. So you got multiple purposes with something like this, and we're all about having multiple uses for our items. So because a compass has to lay flat to effectively set a bearing, I've changed the camera angle here so you can see it a little bit. And so what we have here is the direction of travel, our destination, and this is our compass needle. So you got a magnifying glass to read your maps if you need help with that. And so what your goal here is to turn your bevel, and these little green marks here represent the doghouse. So we put our bevel, turn our bevel to where the north arrow, adjust the camera here a little bit more, turn our bevel to where our north arrow rests within the doghouse. And then this center line here at the top is going to tell you your degree of your bearing, okay? And so this right here is going to be a 290 degree bearing. And so part of the Pathfinder phase 1 is to adjust your compass to different bearings, set different bearings. And so one of the bearings is for a 40, a 180, a 330, and an 80. So we're going to turn our compass to those directions. And for that, I'm going to use the Silva. And I'm using the Silva because you can see the numbers on the bearings so much better. And so once again, this one, the doghouse here, is a north with an arrow in it. And to verify, once again, to level that out, we're at a 290 degree bearing right now. And so one of the bearings is for 40 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to 40 degrees. It's a little hard to see, but just get it in that general area. And then we're going to turn our compass and our whole body until we get to the required point where the red, should have went the other way, the north line is in the doghouse. And so that's what we're going for. So there's our 40, there's our doghouse. So there's our 40 degree bearing. We also had a 330 degree bearing. We're just going to go ahead and follow that on around. Set our compass at 330. And there's our 330 degree bearing. So there is a 180 degree bearing. And there is our 80 degree bearing. So we had a 40, an 80, 330, and a 180. So there's all of the different bearings. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to shoot off a bearing off to the side here so you can see it. But pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my V-notch up with a tree or a saddle in the tree line, a mountain or rock formation, and gonna aim that there and going to turn my bevel until the north line lines up in the doghouse. The north needle lines up in the doghouse, and that tells me that that bearing there is about a 260-degree bearing. So, and it's important that you hold it up to your eye level and keep it flat so you can get a proper bearing. So I'm going to shoot another one. There you go. So we're going to line up our V-notch with this tree right here, turn the bevel until it's in the doghouse. Now it may not look like in the doghouse to you, but I promise you it is. And then we're going to line it up to see what degree we're at. And so that tells us that right there we're at a 270 degree bearing. And you can see that in the mirror here at the bottom. 200, line it up. Here at the bottom, 270 degree. Alright, so part of the exercise is to cover your head with your handkerchief or some type of blanket or something, and use only your compass to guide you to that point. And so what I plan to do here in a little bit, the kids getting home, is going to have them blindfolded and have them walk to a target and watch them fall off the path, and they'll experience lateral drift. And lateral drift can be so bad sometimes that you walk in circles. That's where you hear stories of people walking in circles in the woods. And then I'm going to teach them how to use the compass to set a bearing. But I'm going to demonstrate it real quick first, and then you'll get to see them try it too. And so I'm going to be aiming for a tree off in the distance here, and I'm going to set my bearing and going to walk towards it. So, okay, so I've got my bearing. It's 288 degrees, and it's going to be this tree right there in the middle. Bam, right there. Okay, so that is the tree we're going to walk towards, and my bearing is going to be at 288 degrees. And the way you can do the smaller increments instead of the big ones is each one of these clicks, these little ticks here, is 2 degrees. So you have 280, 282, 284, 286, 288, and then you're at 290. So I'm going to take a 288 degree bearing. We're still at a 288 to 290 degree bearing. I'm going to cover our head so I can't see the object and I can't see you, and I'm going to line it up looking down and begin to walk within my direction. Alright, so I was a couple feet off, and I kind of figured I would, because about halfway down I already began to feel the lateral drift from the terrain features. Kept wanting to pull me off to the right, and that wasn't even with having a pack. And so what you can do to kind of help balance that is to move, like in a haversack situation, put the haversack on your left and the pack and the terrain downturn on your right. Just something to try, mess with, see if that helps you at all. But got within about 1.5 feet, 2 feet from my tree, which I thought was pretty awesome. So even at short distances, you can experience lateral drift, and that's why a compass is so important. We're gonna walk that big tree right there. big tree is our goal. And we're going to test lateral drift on you guys, see how far you drift off. And then we're going to practice with the compass. The tree is straight in front of you. Hey, walk to the tree in front of you. The big tree, no. Like this way. Alright, keep going. No. Alright, there you go. Keep it on. Keep the blindfold on. Walk to that tree, that big one. Keep going. Alright, stop. Which tree was you supposed to go to? Huh?
I didn't know I touched it.
It's right there. You missed the big tree. Alright, Caleb, walk straight ahead to this big tree. Go a little bit faster.
I don't want to run into the tree. A little faster.
So now we're going to use the compass this time, and what your object is to keep this red arrow, red and yellow arrow, in these two green lines. Okay? Walk to the tree. Keep the arrows in the green. And stop. All right, take the handkerchief off your face.
Congratulations.
Look how close you got to the tree.
Well, at least I'm hugging the tree. I was still right there, but then.
Yeah, well, hey, you did an awesome job. You made it straight to the tree. Right, so we want to go that direction. And then we got our needle here. Turn the bevel to where it lines up. So you go ahead and try it yourself. Got to keep it flat. All right, there you go. So you walked right into it. Now was that? All right, you two, so was you closer with the compass or without the compass? With the compass, that's right. And so even when you're only going a short distance, you can have lateral drift, and using a compass will help you guys to stay on course. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
My big old tree. It's my tree house.
Big old tree, huh?
It's my tree house.
Now I encourage you to practice this exercise on flat ground. You're going to be a lot more accurate with it, especially for kids. Make sure that you place it on flat ground and then pick an object about 25 yards out to be able to allow them to get the most out of it. And then once again, pick a clear path that doesn't have any trees or any object that they're going to run into so that you can keep it safe. Well, man, I really appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode here of Dirt Time Adventures. And once again, I want to thank everybody online who's been wishing me a happy birthday. It means the world to me. And by the time this video comes out, it won't be my birthday anymore. So I want to encourage you, if you wanted to give me a belated birthday present, get online on YouTube and look up Dirt Time Adventures, and be sure to give me a subscribe, and that would be the greatest thing you could do, and to show your support for what I'm doing and help me to boost and promote my channel. And I really appreciate all my subscribers and supporters, family and friends. So I want to thank you guys, and remember, as always guys, keep it practical, primitive, and prepared.